The tool that most professional photographers use to bring their photos to life is Adobe Lightroom. What's awesome is that Adobe makes Lightroom available on iOS and Android free of charge. You can upgrade your photos to look like professionals using this simple, intuitive, and free tool on your smartphone. All you have to do is import your photos. I'm going to start with one of the photos of my granddaughter, Avi, such as, let's say, this one. Now that's already a gorgeous photo, but using the auto tool, it will automatically adjust many of the parameters of your photo, and just like that, it looks better. So there you go, with just one tool, one button, you can make your photos look significantly better. Another tool here is presets. It's going to scan and analyze the photo, and then you can see various artistic expressions available with this photo. Here we go, portraits with light skin. Let's try one of those. And by selecting one of these presets, you can improve the quality of your image with just a few buttons. So the auto feature and the presets give you a lot of capability, and then you can export it to your camera roll, or you can share it, text it, post it to your social media accounts. Now, if you want to get deeper than that, let me show you some ways to do that. First of all, let's look at cropping. This gives you the ability to crop in the photo to your liking. Let's say more like that. Click the check. You can use this healing tool if you've got blemishes, scars, dust, anything that you want to get rid of. Let's zoom in here and say, okay, I'm going to use this healing brush. I'm going to set its size. In this case, there's a little blemish, and just with a button click like that, you can remove imperfections. Some sleepers in the eye. I'm going to zoom in there, bring the brush size to there, and simply tap on it, and it's gone. Over the years, Lightroom's healing brush and Photoshop's healing brush has significantly improved. It's amazing how simple and easy it is to just remove blemishes quickly and easily like that. Now let's zoom out. Let's go ahead and accept those. Next, there's some tools you can use manually to make additional adjustments. Let's go to the light setting. Here we can change the exposure, and I'm going to boost the exposure just a little bit there. Contrast with a baby, we really don't want to add a lot of contrast. There are some subject matters where contrast is effective, especially if you're shooting hardware. Again, with a baby or a portrait, you don't want a lot of shadows, so I'm going to pull some of the shadows out. Obviously, something like that is not attractive in a portrait, so I'm going to pull the shadows out to about there. The whites, you see when I used the auto and the preset, it automatically adjusted the white for me in this case. Usually you don't want to take any of these to an extreme. So I'm going to find a place around there. Blacks, obviously you don't want strong blacks. With none, you're going to lose some of the detail. So I'm going to pull the blacks to about right there. Now let's switch over to color. In this case, it looks pretty good. You can change the temperature. Just pull a little bit of that yellow out. And then in vibrance, I'm going to push the vibrance up, but what we don't want is orange babies or colors that are obviously too exaggerated. So then I'm going to pull some of the saturation out so that it's more balanced, so that the baby skin looks like a baby skin to about there. Now in this case, I'm also going to add a vignette. So I'm going to click on effects, and I'm going to bring the vignette over to the black side. And then to adjust this better, I'm going to go ahead and pull this feather all the way to the left so we can see what the raw image looks like. And here I'm going to adjust the roundness, and I want this midpoint to focus on the main features, the face and such, to about right there. Now that I'm happy with it, I'm going to bring the feathering back to the middle. Now I think that might be just a bit too much vignette, so I'm going to go ahead and pull some of that back out now. You don't want it to be too obvious, just enough to accentuate your subject matter to about there. And now I'm happy with this, so I'm going to go ahead and save this back, export it to my camera roll, and I'm done. Let me go with this one here. Here's a case where I want to go ahead and do some cropping to a point that I'm happy with it. Very subjective. You ask any two photographers and they will typically give you a different result, but find something that you're happy with, such as there. Use the auto, and it brings a nice balance. The challenge with auto is that it's going to balance all of the colors in the photo. And in this case, because we have a light background, it's going to darken the facial colors just a little bit too much. This will be particularly true if you have a person who's standing in front of a window that's bright. The auto is going to darken the skin color too much in order to balance the white behind them. So there's certain situations where the auto is not helpful, but I find it's always good to click it, just see what it's doing, and then from there I can go ahead and make some adjustments. It's bringing the exposure down, and the reason it's doing that is because it's wanting an overall balance, but we don't want to focus on the blanket. We want the skin color to be just right on the face. So we'll bring it to there. Contrast we don't need. I'll show you a photo next where contrast will come in handy. Highlights, it's already very bright, so you don't want to blow it completely out. And there are certain situations where you can bring that highlight down to have a more muted palette, and it is attractive in certain situations. So the main thing is there's an undo, so you can just freely experiment, try out a lot of things, and tweak it until you're happy with it. So if you have no experience with color correcting and color grading, then you can do this really quickly using the auto button or the presets. If you are more interested in the creative side and exploring and experimenting to develop your skills into those of more professional photographer, you have the tools here to work with. The nice thing about getting used to this Lightroom Mobile is that at some point you can upgrade to the desktop version that has much more powerful tools, such as the ability to select subject, pull out the subject, the background, and independently change the colors and textures between the subject matter and the background. So learning these tools is really helpful because they'll directly translate over into the desktop app that has a lot of power, and most of the gorgeous photos that you see posted on Instagram and other social media platforms have been done by the photographer in Lightroom. So it's a great tool to get used to, and because Lightroom Mobile is free, it's an awesome tool to begin using. Experiment with it and figure out what you like, you don't like, and begin developing your own artistic expression. So here what I'm looking for is I don't want to lose all the detail, but I don't want it to look muddied, particularly on a baby or a portrait. So I want just enough black in there so that it gives it some texture and dimensionality. Overall, the color is good. I don't really need to change the temperature. In this case, it's a really nice, cool temperature with those cool tones. If you wanted to warm it up, you could change it to have a more warm tone without going crazy. But in the case of portraits, the main goal is getting your skin colors right. So in this photo, if I wanted to add a bit more warmth, I could. I don't really think it's necessary here, so I'm going to leave it as is. You could change the tints, but again, I feel like this is a good, accurate representation of the color. I'm going to bump up the vibrance down the saturation so that the baby's skin looks natural. And there we go. I'm going to call that good. Export it to the camera roll, and there we have it. All right, let me give you one more example. I just shot some random photos here in my studio. This is my Sony FX3 that I'm shooting this with right now. And what I like about this is it's got a lot of different patterns and textures. And so here's something that we want to experiment with. If I click the auto button, it's going to brighten it up a bit. In this case, I want to work with some of these presets, and there are times that you want to be really artistic and express something that's outside of the normal palette. This gives you a lot of creative expression by using these presets. You can even create your own or start with one of these existing ones and then tweak it to your liking and save it as one of your own. And over time, you can build up your own library of presets. Now, you can also purchase presets, or you can get a lot of them free online. All you have to do is go out and Google Lightroom Mobile presets. You'll find thousands of free ones developed by photographers and colorists. There are many premium ones that you can purchase, but for starting out, lots of free ones. You've got a lot of capability just built into the application as it is. The nice thing is there's so much capability built into this that you can break out into much more detail. There's curves, and typically what you want to do with a curve is you'll want to potentially bring the bottom range down to enrich some of the darker colors, and then bring up some of the brightness on the high end on the lighter colors and create a bit of an S curve. Usually when I'm shooting my videos and I'm doing this in Premiere Pro, I'll create an S curve on all of my videos. You can even tweak the curve in individual red, green, and blue colors. Obviously you can see extremes here, and so in most cases we'd simply want to do something quite subtle, but here's a case where I'm emphasizing the reds. There are many other tools built into here, the ability to do color grading. You can tweak the color throughout the whole image, or you can get down to individual colors. Here's a brief overview. Let's say there's too much of this orange, or we like the orange, and what we can do is we can adjust that orange to be a slightly different color. Like here we go, let's bring that orange a little deeper, and then we can increase the saturation so that orange has more dominance and potentially more luminance, more light to it. Here's a blue, we might like a blue, and so what we want to do is tweak, like you see that blue light there, we can tweak what that blue color looks like, and we can increase or decrease its saturation. So the nice thing about Adobe Lightroom Mobile is it's extremely powerful. If you master it on the free iPhone version and you say, hey, I love this, I'm interested in photography, I want to take this more seriously, develop an Instagram account and start posting photos, you can upgrade to the paid version of the app for the desktop, laptop, and you're off and running because you've already developed skills in the free app, and you can simply upgrade into the professional tool set. Well, there you have it. That's an example of how to use Adobe Lightroom. I hope you found this to be helpful and insightful. If so, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time, remember, spread the love.